they should worry about it being compliant. We've talked about the legal aspects and the FTC's opinion on this, and how marketers and how a network handles this. So now we're going to talk a little bit about social, mobile, emerging markets, and how this privacy affects that, and how the privacy concerns affect that. On the panel, we have Duncan McCall, who is the CEO of PlaceIQ. We have Nathan Aimee, who is the head of social for Deluxe Corporation. And we have Chris McLaren, the director of emerging media strategy for Gage. Duncan, hyperlocal information, right? Chris has been in the industry a long time, has a very general understanding and practical knowledge of all things digital media. And Nathan is here for color. No, Nathan is...
No, that's about right.
Nathan runs social media for Deluxe for Business. So, we all just kind of talked. I have a list of questions we kind of have that I'm going to hope to avoid because I want us to have a conversation.
No offense to all of you who put your time into creating the list.
No, the team, FRWD team who put this together was great. But I want us to have a conversation. We just talked about this, right? So my background, for those that don't know who I am, I'm Gary Allen. I'm the partner in charge of media systems and operations at FRWD. My background comes from 15 years of digital media systems, tracking systems, affiliate systems, search systems, intelligence, competitive intelligence systems. I have a very strong opinion on this issue,
and many others,
and absolutely many others. As these
you are colorful.
And I want to hear opinions now, right? So we're talking about emerging markets, we're talking about social, we're talking about mobile, right? How does this privacy concern affect what's coming over the next couple of years? So if we kind of want to if we want to start with you, Chris, Duncan. If we want to start with you, Duncan, just kind of go down the road. Just give me kind of 2 minutes of what you want to talk about here today.
So I think the big thing for me here, right, is so the way I step back here and I look at privacy, location, all the things we talk about when we encapsulate this sort of privacy, security, do not track location data is for the last 15 years I've been kicking around in e-commerce, digital media, and I've heard this story pitched to me multiple times about one-to-one marketing. So it's a company that some of you might remember called Broad Vision that really kicked ass in the late 90s, and they built a one-to-one marketing platform online. And they actually built it, before online, they built it on interactive TV, and then the web came along. And their whole vision, the CEO, a guy called Pihong Chen, was that we are going to create a platform that enables people to have one-to-one direct relationships with the brands and advertisers, and this is going to drive such fantastic efficiencies. So like the guy was saying earlier, the ultimate dream is you can tailor a message for one person. And we implemented a whole bunch of this back in the late 90s, and we sold the concept. We never really got there because of business process changes. And then I saw it again with a point-of-sale provider. And I guess the way I look at this, I frame this in my mind, if you look at the big picture here, is all of these things around capturing personal data, behavioral data, retargeting, location, social, mobile, they all feed into this nexus of we are actually closer than we've ever been to the ability to be able to have a device or a relationship through that device with a brand or consumer that's one-to-one. And now, right there, this promise that we've been writing about 15 years, we're stopping and we're saying, wait, we need to regulate. We need to not do this. So I think for me, the big thing here is this a bump in the road? Is it a hiccup? Or are we really going to sort of regulate and stop ourselves from allegedly getting to this dream of one-to-one marketing? So I think that's the way I kind of look at some of these things.
Chris?
Duncan, do you think that it's really a question of, are we going to stop ourselves?
Well, it seems to me that right now, so I don't believe we will, right? So let me just say, I don't think we will. I think this is a bump in the road. But I think a lot of this discussion now about regulating digital information, digital identities, location data, with this idea that somehow there's something scary about personalizing an ad to someone, I think is a is a major impediment to really getting to the next stage of the dream of one-to-one marketing.
Okay. My point of view on the topic is that companies like Dunkin's make a lot of sense. I think most people would agree that they make a lot of sense, especially if you're in the field of marketing, as an individual user. So when you're browsing and you are witnessing advertising that's being displayed to you in the context of something else you're trying to find out about or do, how can you not agree with the idea that displaying advertising that is more likely to be relevant and of interest to you is a bad thing, right? So as a user, and as a marketer, it's very difficult for me to argue with that, but when I become, where I am given more pause is when I think about the bigger picture. What are the implications for society if we, frankly, the boat has already sailed. The report that the FRWD folks were kind enough to share with me in advance of this, that was a piece of third-party research that had been done, indicated that it only takes 3 pieces of data to identify 87% of the U.S. population: your gender, your birth date, and your zip code. How hard is it to get that? So the reality is that everybody in this room is already very much at risk to somebody who would do you harm by using data that's publicly available to you. And I don't really know where we're headed as a society, but the only reason that this is, the reason we're all here in this room, I think, is mostly because we're concerned about what might happen, and we're concerned about avoiding being the first one to sort of cross that boundary and getting killed for it. I know that my clients are Fortune 1000 clients. Like a lot of the people in this room, like they're, like Target or Best Buy or any of these big companies, you're targets, you're walking targets. So you have to be very, very careful that whatever you do is very, very, very much in line with best practices to avoid experiencing an incredibly expensive lawsuit. But the environment has gotten so complicated that it's difficult for a marketer or an executive to really feel a high degree of confidence even in their own teams, I think.
But I'm not going to interrupt you, Nathan, but is the fear a very expensive lawsuit, or is it embarrassment?
It's both. Isn't it both? I mean,
we've talked today that probably legally that there isn't a legal regulation yet, right? So obviously we have a couple of Fortune 1000 companies in this room.
Sure, but it doesn't take breaking the law to create a situation like that. It takes of legal culpability, civil courts, right? So all it takes is for somebody like a Target, for example, to launch a location-based application that results in the disclosure of an individual user's information that in turn results in a data trail corresponding with a crime of some kind. Correct. For example, and when that happens, I don't think it's an if, not for Target, but it's a question of when that happens. That's going to happen. And then, the law will become stricter. But in the meantime, it'll be civil courts that will determine, I think, the penalties, as well as the embarrassment.
Now that Chris has really peaked up the room.
Scared everyone.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Lock the doors.
Yeah, right. No one leaves now.
I thought we brought you here for brevity, man.
No, he's color.
Yeah. I'm the upper, you're the downer.
I'm mayhem, he's chaos.
It's good. So, one thing I like to do from a panel perspective is I like to get a picture of the group and then put it out into the group, the view from the roster, the view from the day, and then set it out to Twitter. If I do that, am I technically violating all of your privacy? Seriously.